Give me a clap. All right, welcome to Degens on the Block. We are a podcast for AI, crypto, blockchain, NFTs, and technology, and then we do a bunch of random topics as well. Today, we're really excited.
Yes.
Got Todd Geisler over here to my left. Jim Henderson. We're really excited to have Jim here. He's a photographer, wonderful portrait and visual storyteller. And on the phone, calling in, Ramon Nunez. He is a creative producer. Now he's a big shot based out in LA now. He used to be one of the boys in Minneapolis, and now he's been lured away by the glitter of the West Coast. Thank you all. I'm really excited for having you guys here. It's something that's just like, it's gotten to be such a big topic, and today we're going to talk really about generative AI and just like its explosion and good and bad aspects of it. Whether how we're currently using it, where we see things going. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this thing down into a couple segments. And first, let's kind of get the intros down. I started to introduce Jim here. Jim, you were an art director, creative director for 24 years. And then you up and left it. So I gotta say, I think you're living the life I wanted to live. And I missed it, man. It was like the train was there. I totally was like, oh wow, that would be really cool. And then all of a sudden the train left.
Yeah.
And I'm chasing that train, trying to get there.
Well, I wasn't chasing any train, but when you say left art direction, it was it was 2008. So that's all you need to know about the time frame.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't see coming what I ended up doing. It just kind of happened.
It's crazy. I mean, it was so great that you, not only were you able to do that, right? Kind of go into photography, which you didn't have a lot of experience in, but you just like completely ripped it up. I mean,
thanks.
I know you talk about like, oh, I've got these big shot, friends of mine, but your stuff it's really nice.
Oh, I appreciate it. Now, when you're an art director, you got an eye. I mean, you got an eye.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a really good photographer too. So it's just a matter of going to the other side and learning some of the technical stuff, which I still totally suck at. I hate the technical aspect of it. I barely know how to run a strobe. I'm not even sure I totally do. I always hire people to help me with that stuff. But that's not really what's important. It's the eye and the vision and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's interesting to be taking somebody else's creative vision and bringing it to life. Because we were always on the other side. You're coming up with the stuff, and you're like, okay, trying to explain it to the photographer or the producer or the director or anything else,
Yeah. No. It all that experience really, I mean, it helps obviously to be on both sides of the stuff I think people appreciate the experience there too, because they know, art directors know where you're coming from, and they know that you're going to kind of look at it with an eye that something's got to be made out of this.
Right.
But anyway,
that's awesome.
Yeah. No, thanks.
And Ramon, big boy Nunez. With Baby Lion.
Yes.
All right. So, again, I kind of joked that you were, the hometown boy that went out and went out west and became the big producer. Ramon and I worked together at Cole McVoy. I was a creative director there, and I think it was after I left and you left to Foot Cone and then eventually to Crispin. And you spent a number of years at Crispin. I think that's probably where you really came into your own out there. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, definitely. Spent almost a decade of the beginning of my career in Minneapolis, which was amazing, between Fallon and then our time together playing, as you know, at Cole McVoy, in the time when Cole McVoy was transforming as an agency, which was wonderful. And then from there, I took off to Chicago to FCB for a couple of years, helped run Miller Lite, and Motorola, a couple big accounts at that time, and then
that's where you sold out, wasn't it? Going to work on Big Miller Lite. You got those big budgets.
Yeah, got the big budgets, the beer budgets, all that stuff. The fun times, as they say. And then ended up in Crispin around 2010, and spent 7 years from there, 2010 to 2017, in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, and those were the big years there.
Innovative, creative technology and multi-platform work there, and then headed to LA in 2017. So I've been in LA since. Yeah, the community was a 2-year stint after Crispin. That was La Comunidad. It was one of the top multicultural agencies that became a total market agency.
Yep. And
renamed the community. And incredible that Jose Joaquin, some of the most award-winning creatives, in the history, and those guys have done amazing work, especially in the multicultural category, and then kind of converted it into a total market way of thinking for clients. And I joined them during that time, and it was an incredible time to kind of, change advertising from that perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then from there is when I decided to launch Baby Line Media with my partner Digby, who was working for MJZ for 5 years. And then we finally just said, hey, why don't we take our expertise both from the production side and then the agency production and creative side and bring together a new era production company that's bilingual, has a lot of diverse artists, and we're able to bring creative technology together with film and directors and photographers. And that's what we're doing now.
You're not only just producing, you're creating, you're doing, experiential things, you're doing all this, but then you got to throw in bilingual. You got to do it in not only one, but now you got to do it in 2 languages.
Yeah.
So you're really
speaking Spanish. So
yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome. I was really excited once I kind of learned that you've kind of got a foothold in this whole AI thing. So I think that's where we're going to start this first topic, really about just kind of talking about generative AI and kind of explaining it for anybody that doesn't know what it is. And then we can just kind of roll into that. So, so for everybody that's, familiar or not familiar with the whole generative AI, we talk a lot about Mid-Journey. So that's what Jim, you've kind of messed around with. And Ramon, I'm not sure what AIs you've kind of messed around with, but we've got, ChatGPT, which started in November of 22. I mean, it's amazing to think of some of these companies. They started like 6 months ago, and they're not even. I think
ChatGPT was the fastest growing user base of all time.
It hit a million users or subscribers in 2 months.
100 million.
It was 100 million?
I think it was 100 million.
Wow.
I mean, it took Twitter 2 years to get to 1 million followers. Like that's the crazy, like this stuff is moving at such a speed. We were talking about it earlier. It's like all the things like with legislation and everything now, they're trying to target certain things, but the technology has already moved past that. Right? You're not aiming at a future target. You're trying to hit a target that by the time the bullet gets there, it's not even around.
Right. Yep.
Exactly.
So I mean, and I love the idea of text AI, but I mean imagery, music. Even I was watching this little TikTok thing where I do a little bit of music producing, and I write for some sync opportunities and things like that, and I cannot rap to save my life. And using generative AI, I can use Kanye West's voice and substitute my voice on a rap, and it actually sounds okay. Whereas if I rapped, it would be garbage.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, this stuff is moving so fast, and it's in everything. So you got ChatGPT, you got Mid-Journey. Along with
now they opened up all the APIs and the apps, so you can incorporate it in any.
Look at
platform.
the App Store. I mean, anything they're using the OpenAI like in 100, 200 apps like a day, I think. So I mean, it's just going crazy. And we've seen some of this stuff coming for a while with updates in Photoshop and things like that. And I'm kind of curious. So let me just backtrack. So ChatGPT, for anybody that doesn't know, and if you don't know, your head's been in the sand for a while, but it's a I don't know. It's like part search engine. It's part. You can basically ask it to do almost anything. You can say, write me a business plan for I don't know, a mobile pizza kitchen, based out of Minnesota, and it'll write a full plan. I mean, you can ask it just about anything. You can ask it for, things about, and I think it's good for thought starters and things like that. But it's amazing how it can take stuff. It reaches out, pulls information from all over, and it creates, these writings. So you can write web copy. You can write, SEO, terms. You can do contracts. You can do all these kind of things. So that,
you can write your term paper.
that was like the least of it. Like that's what I thought it was going to be all about. And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, this thing can write like a business plan. It can write like code. It can do all this kind of stuff.
Legal contracts.
Yeah,
totally.
Contracts, which used to take so long. As a producer, it's just crazy how much you go back and forth with legal teams. And like the fact that this thing can write a whole legal contract and put you within reach of something that, you can then custom from that point on. I mean, it saves a lot of legal time. Think of that.
Yeah.
How mind-blowing that is.
So think about like how many different aspects this is affecting, different job sectors and everything. So then we're also talking about Midjourney. So Midjourney started in November 2022. And I think they're, I don't know what version they're on.
Version 5.
Is it version 5?
Right.
And that thing, so that's by OpenAI. That's ChatGPT. It was founded by David Holtz. And so that's run through Discord, and it's prompt-based imaging, right?
Yeah.
So
just like ChatGPT.
So you can basically just say, yeah, right. It's kind of like ChatGPT, but there's certain things that it has to start with a certain thing, like imagine. It's a hash. It's a / imagine, and then you put in your prompt. But you just put in anything you want. 3 people sitting around a podcast table, with purple lights and black backgrounds, and all of a sudden, you'll get these images coming up. And there's a lot more nuance to how you put in your prompts. But the fact that you can get it and you can say, I want it in 80s style music posters, or I want it, ultra high res cinematic, reality photos, so you can really change. I mean, that's the crazy thing. You can make it an illustration, you can make it a watercolor, and it reaches out and pulls all this stuff in.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlike Instagram. It's
Did you just ask it?
I just put in what you just said. People sitting around a podcast table with purple lights.
Looks better than we are.
80s style, high ultra res. Look at that.
Yeah, I
Just
like that better.
I like that better too.
Yeah, they look much better than we do.
Yeah, they seem engaged.
They do have 6 fingers, though. They do have 6 fingers.
They do have a problem with hands. They do have a problem with hands.
Oh man. So anyway, this stuff is just changing the game on everything.
Yeah.
So I know we didn't start the timer.
We didn't start the timer here yet, but let's go.
This has been the problem. Every time we do this,
we forget to start the timer.
We all start. We're only going to do 7 minutes or 8 minutes, and then 15 minutes, and we're like, oh shit, we didn't do the timer.
It's going now.
You gotta have that AI generated.
That's right.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about it no more.
Right.
Yeah, it should be something. The moment we start talking, it automatically goes.
And when you talk too much about one topic.
So, is there anything? Is there anything else? Ramon, in your do you use other AI in your business?
Well, I think, definitely our teams our we have two offices. We have one in Los Angeles for Baby Line. We have Los Angeles office, and we have a Buenos Aires office.
Yeah, what's with that, by the way? What's with I know they do that around here where they have one down in like Sanibel or something. Where's the island everybody goes to? I don't think it's Sanibel, is it? Maybe it is. It's like
Florida.
It's like Jerry's Foods will have like Edina, Eden Prairie, and then like Sanibel Island, and you're like, you son of a bitch.
You know what that's about?
Totally.
Yeah. So, what family do you have down in Rio de Janeiro?
So actually, the reason we have a Buenos Aires office is because we, right as we were launching the company, we, decided as we're totally building the company to have directors and, of course, experiential creative technology. And then we partnered with a team called Katema that's out of Buenos Aires. And we decided that we become one, here for the Americas and our global work. And they had a very heavy creative technology, experience. We had a lot of creative technology experience here in America in terms of experiences for brands and things. And of course, the video and film side and the social and digital side. So we decided to partner up, and we have a farm of about 50 artists in Buenos Aires, which is great because we get such talented artists and amazing artists down there that, also allow for, budgets to be more competitive. So that's why.
All right.
That's why we ended up having two offices.
There's got to be some kind of a boondoggle at some point.
Of course, takes so long.
But you're explaining yourself out of that one pretty well. All right. Have you messed at all with Adobe Firefly? Are you on the beta?
I just started.
You did.
So you
How
have
did you get through? I'm still
beta?
I'm still waiting for the invitation.
I just signed up for like a day
for the beta.
Okay, the beta, yeah. No,
so you haven't gotten the invitation. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, something's going on here. I'm not paying the right people.
But I think the interesting thing about that, the Firefly, the Adobe Firefly, like you were saying kind of prior to the podcast starting, is that Midjourney has a tough time kind of refining. And it looks to me like Firefly, you might be able to pick an object and refine that versus regenerate the whole pic.
From what I've seen on the tutorials, it looks a little more like it's a souped up Photoshop situation where you can kind of work. I mean, Midjourney is very, at least for, let's get one thing straight. I am no expert on Midjourney. I got on it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And as I was telling these guys earlier, the reason I got on it is because I'm a photographer, and a lot of my photographer friends across the country, all of a sudden, everybody at once just kind of went, whoa, this thing is, and they all started messing around with it, and they all started posting stuff on LinkedIn and other things.
Yeah.
And they all started getting feedback from each other, and, the opinions were all over the place about this, which is a whole nother situation to talk about. But it was like, you know what? I got to get on here too and see what the deal is. And it is at once electrifying. When you start doing it, it's like, it's just freaking amazing, but it's also terrifying. So, and that some of that is ramifications far past advertising or anything else, what's going to be real in the world? When it comes to
totally. Yeah.
Because the next step from this is going to be motion. And, it's not like CGI stuff, but it's like, how's it going to affect reality of news in the world? Everything. That's a whole nother story.
And I think that's a good chance. We're gonna take a break real quick and come back and get into kind of the practical uses of the generative AI with guests Jim Henderson and Ramon Nunez. We'll be right back.